I'm anti-fascist. Meaning, if you disagree with me, you're a bad person. I'm progressive. Meaning, if you disagree with me, you're against progress. I'm anti-racist too. If you oppose me, you're a racist. I'll keep going until I'm invincible. Then word salad will be served. Bon appetit. So this delves back into word thinking and this idea that, well, maybe if we redefine things and move things around in a postmodern manner, and we start to just take things, literally that should be figurative, and figurative that should be literal, and that everything is a construct. We can just, if we just move things around, we can organize so that no matter what, we're never wrong. Okay, this is this idea. It's not political. It's not the left or the right doing. It's everybody. It's everybody that believe that words, not everybody as in every single person is doing the same thing, but basically it's a broad spectrum of people that think that changing the words, it does change persuasion a bit. It changes influence. It changes why, it changes people's behavior to change a word. And of course, words have meaning. They have meaning. We need to know exactly how things are defined. You want to take the right drug if you've been prescribed by your doctor. You want to take the right drug. You don't want to pick the wrong one. You don't want to take cyanide when they told you it was Tylenol, right? The word matters. Cyanide versus Tylenol, it matters. And everything in our world, all of our computer programs, everything we have at these lower levels, these deeper levels, of course, everything has to have definition. It has to be exact. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. But with words, with linguistics, we've been seeing, especially in the political context, where hypocrisy is dead. In politics, hypocrisy is dead. I think we can safely say that at this point. I have other videos on that topic, but I figured I'd cover that. So we're seeing Antifa, but it's not just, again, the left. It is every side of the political sphere that's doing this. Linguistic propaganda. So I'm anti-fascist, meaning if you disagree with me, you're a bad person. So what they've done is they take this term fascist and they say, well, if you support the police, and call this a straw man if you want, but this is essentially the way it appears to be. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and derision, if applicable. But they say that, the cops are fascists. The police officers, law enforcement, ICE officers, this is the United States, ICE officers are fascists. And you, Republicans, are fascists. If you support the military and law and order, you're a fascist. There's a lot of this rhetoric out there. So they say, I'm anti-fascist. So by definition, if you disagree with me on this topic, in this context, you're pro-fascist. You have to be. I've taken the position of anti-fascist. Now, for a counter-argument, if we're talking, because anti-fascist is basically a Bernieite left-wing thing. On the right, they have this thing called pro-life. I'm pro-life. I think Gavin McInnes was using this the other day. I'm pro-life. And therefore, what are you if you don't agree with me? Are you anti-life? No. Because just for one data point, one piece, the mother's life also matters, and sometimes birth can have complications that can endanger the mother's life. So clearly it's not we have this world of politics, this world of rhetoric, especially on Twitter, that is full of false binaries, false dichotomies, just a lot of false, this or this, 1 or 0 statements. And the world, in many ways, our world, if you believe in the philosophy of dualism, I have a little bit of that in my philosophy, but, the world isn't all just binaries. There's a lot of binaries. There's a lot of positive or negative, neutral being a goal for many people, this sort of perfect balance, of course. There's a lot of binaries, there's continuums and spectrums, whatever you want, vectors, whatever you want. There's plenty of places we can have dualism and again, seek subject matter experts. I'm not a dualist philosopher or anything like that, so definitely check that out. But, just because somebody labels themselves something pro-life, anti-fascist, it doesn't mean that disagreeing with them means you really disagree with them. That's the problem. That's a problem with Black Lives Matter. Because Black Lives Matter, and that's a message that we need to say, I guess, because I believe, I heard from Hotep Jesus. Definitely check out Hotep Jesus on YouTube and Twitter. He's a radio host and a commentator. But he was saying that, young black people especially, they've convinced themselves that their lives don't matter. And therefore, when you say Black Lives Matter, it's actually a beautiful, positive thing for them. But the problem is that the Black Lives Matter movement, it's not just this idea of Black Lives Matter. Like the Me Too movement, it's political. It's a political apparatus. It's not purely to help black lives. It's also to basically bully people into, you either believe in this one, Democrat-backed group, or you're a racist, or you're somebody that, you don't think Black Lives Matter. Now, of course, there's a lot of nuance that is missing here that you need to really, dig down deeper, drill down and find it. Where all lives matter, like, it seems like a slap in the face to say all lives matter, because clearly all lives should matter. But it's the black lives that we're seeing through the media and in front of our faces, frankly, that, in some cases it appears that there's a lot of unfairness. Again, I'm not going to actually deep dive into that topic in this video, but the idea that if you don't believe in BLM, like if you don't push that messaging, you don't believe in black lives, and they use that against the other political team, that is an abomination. That is unfair, It's like, you don't have to subscribe to this Republican or Democrat-backed thing. You don't have to like Donald Trump to keep America great, right? And if you think that America wasn't great before, or it isn't great, you don't have to be a Trump supporter to make America great again. You can do it with any ideology you want, as long as it works within the U.S. Constitution and doesn't undermine our values as a nation, and enough people are happy with it. It's not, a sunk cost. It's not something where we're going up a river without a paddle, down a river without a paddle. There's so many sides to it. But saying that, if you don't make your profile pic black, if you don't not post all day, you're not helping. You're not helping the movement. And frankly, I see the virtue in it, but I think that it can be used as a bludgeon for people that actually, that don't disagree. The idea isn't that, people that don't push the BLM messaging believe that Black Lives Matter, but they're seeing other aspects too that happen to potentially conflict with the humanistic message. Like, for example, the idea that people are fighting in the streets over it. Why are you fighting Black Lives Matter? I thought you were social justice warriors. Or if you believe in modern religion, social justice disciples, Antifa. Why are you fighting Black Lives Matter in the streets? It doesn't make any sense. So they go on with the I'm progressive, meaning if you disagree with me, you're against progress. That's another bit of that linguistic thing. There are conservative progressives and progressive conservatives. And there's all these different... We all have our labels for defining our ideology. But with progressive, it's like, well, conservatives don't have any progress. They don't do progress. And that's what I believe to be... It's actually hilarious because you see it on every political side. You see it on the right and the left. You see it everywhere. This idea where people kind of go for the low-hanging fruit. There's this thing called red meat, of course. We all know about red meat. But I've seen people that have base political opinions tend to actually go after their own level of people. If they believe that only Democrats can do well, only Democrats are moral, and only they tell the truth. This really, really basic. If only Republicans, only Trump tells the truth, only Trump knows what he's doing. Obviously not the truth. Everybody, in politics, there's different levels of understanding. But these are the people that go after the low-hanging fruit. They'll go after some old retired grandma that barely knows how to tweet. They'll go after a guy, a redneck in a MAGA hat. They won't go after the intellectuals, if you understand what I'm saying. They won't go after the people that can actually make an argument. They'll go after the people that fit the stereotypes that the media and others have portrayed for so long about this ideology or group of people. They won't say, well, there's a lot of businessmen and women. There's a lot of trans people and LGBTQAI plus people here. There's a lot of people of different races. There's a lot of people of different backgrounds and origins and so forth. They're all what the news told you they were. They're what the news told you they were. They're what the movies made them appear to be. So I'm anti-racist, we're all anti-racist. Unless we're overtly racist, we're anti-racist, okay? And just because you're not pro-life, just because you're pro-choice, doesn't mean you don't want to preserve life. It doesn't mean that you don't have an emotional connection when you see a baby that has been, aborted. I don't want to get too graphic in the video, but, if you oppose me, it's just an ignorant perspective. And the goal of it is, or one of the potential goals of it is, keeping going until they're invincible. They're linguistically invincible. So, at that point, word salad is served up. Because while words have meaning, and we need to make sure we're keeping track of what everything means, and you have to, if you have an ideology, say for minarchism, you have to have a definition. Everything has to make sense. But there are people that seem to think that if they say enough words, they can get into a position that they're unassailable and serve word salad, and then say, bon appetit. And I find it to be hilarious, basically. Because they're just words. It's word thinking. Change the word. It's again, we talked about mind over matter before, but this is one of those cases where it doesn't really work out very well.